And our first talk today is Battletech, from tabletop to PC game. Please welcome up on stage people you haven't seen before, Jordan Weisman, the original creator of Battletech, who's also done a bunch of stuff.
A bunch of stuff. You should have read my bio. Thank you. Good preparation. Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good.
Really? You awake?
Yeah. So this talk is the opposite of the previous talk, which is about how to take computer games and make them into board games, which is apparently the trend of this show. We're counter-trend to a spot where typically...
Counter-trend. If that means not making money, that's us.
So it's taking a 35-year-old board game and making it into a modern computer game.
But first, we'll make 21 other games.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine this is the 21st video game in the series, which is kind of just freaky. I mean, that's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games, it's a lot of age.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Sorry.
So how many people actually at one point played the tabletop game? All right. And when you played the current game, did it feel like the tabletop game?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good, we paid them to say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's our talk.
Checks in the back.
Sorry, man. See me after the show. I have a lunch voucher right here.
So what's interesting is that none of the underlying mechanics are the same between the tabletop and the video game, right? Because the video game is designed to be, well, more accessible, and it's, well, how do we say this? Over 35 years, tastes change. We learn a lot more, right, about every art form, right? If you go back and watch a movie from 35 years ago, it feels like it crawls, right? We were used to editing much faster.
Star Wars is slow as dirt now.
Yeah. And at the time when Star Wars came out, actually the Time magazine review for Star Wars was, it is edited so fast you can't follow it, right? And now you go back and look at it and it's like, you know, my grandma in her walker could go faster. Come on, guys, move it along. Where's the plot going? And so that's similar true with games, right? Even with modern tabletop games, play very differently than tabletop games played 35 years ago. So the goal for us was to figure out how to capture the feel of the original tabletop, the tactics of the original tabletop, but in kind of a more modern approach.
Yeah, we wanted you to feel the heat. We wanted you to use the heat. When we did the Mech Commander games way back in real time, we had heat in the game, and we realized, oh man, in a real-time game, all of a sudden your mech shuts down, like, where is he? He's way back there. And so we actually rebalanced the game so it used heat sinks, etc., but they were all incredibly heat efficient. And it was Battletech, but it wasn't what we were looking for. And then of course, the falling down and feeling vulnerable and things like that, and going into the trees and you can't see me. I'm 100 tons.
Well, that was one of the reasons why, in the current game, it's not that you can't see them in the trees, which is kind of dumb because they're, 10 to 30 meters tall and they're huge. It's just that the trees are absorbing a lot of the damage that would have gotten to you, which we thought made a little more sense than you can't see me, I'm in the trees. Or as I used to say back when Battletech first came out, Transformers was really big. Right? And one of our taglines were, if you were the most powerful robot in the world, why the fuck are you hiding as a VW bus?
Brilliant.
So yeah, mechs don't hide well. I'm going to say that. So like for instance, one of the big changes that the computer game has versus the tabletop is the whole turn order and initiative, right? Tabletop games are a very special animal, right? They're very social. You're at the table together, and what you're playing on the board is really a small part of the entertainment value of the experience. Right?
There are Cheetos, for example.
Right? And pizza and beer or soda. But I mean, that kind of interpersonal connection that happens at a table is not reproducible on a computer.
Here's an example that's really important to us. When you roll dice In a game, everybody leans in and watches as it tumbles and waits for the number to come up. In a video game, it says 35% chance to hit and you click a button. That's a very, very different experience than everybody leaning in and waiting for it.
Yeah, that also kind of accumulates in this turn order concept, right? In Battletech, the tabletop game, it was split into two phases. You would move all of your units, the opposing team would move all of their units, and then fire was considered to be simultaneous, right?
Considered to be simultaneous. That's the trick. Everybody agrees. You know, oops, there goes my lunch ticket.
You start now.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Everybody just sort of makes it up in their head, that simultaneous action, but each person's rolling the dice individually.
Right. So we did 7 different prototypes of the turn order and initiative system in Battletech. We tried everything from fully simultaneous, where everybody plotted movement and fire, and then watched it out, to the original tabletop, or alternating movement and simultaneous fire, and 5 other different combinations. They all kind of sucked in different ways.
That's a technical term.
Yeah.
This is very important in your education.
Because simultaneous is, I always was a big believer, simultaneous action would be awesome. That's always, like when you're playing a miniatures game, like a double blind, where you didn't know where the opponent was going to be, and stuff has a real drama to it. And that's true on the computer as well. But in Battletech, where you've got up to dozens of weapon systems in a mech, simultaneous action means that you've got literally hundreds of weapons firing at the same time, and you have no way to track what happened. So the game became, I move my guys, you move your guys, a ton of shit flies all over the place, and then I read a log of what got hit.
And for a long time, our designers wanted to keep the log in the game so that they could keep track of every die roll. They lost that battle.
Yeah, it's like reading a log of what just happened is not exciting gameplay. And so the other thing that Battletech, the tabletop games, always suffered from is that the light mechs were just the kind of bits of sticky stuff that was between the toes of the heavies and the assaults. I mean, the light mechs didn't really fill the role that they did in the fiction, right? Which is that their agile nature, their ability to scout, those kind of things, just in the tabletop never really did that in a satisfying way. And our goal was to really try to solve that in the computer version. And the initiative system became a big part of that. So in this game, we have this 5-phased initiative system. The lighter mechs have the ability to move at any one of those 5 initiative phases, right? And that gives them a lot of flexibility in terms of how they can flank, how you can, like, if you can reserve a light all the way down to the last phase, you can actually get 2 shots in a row before the heavies can respond to them. And it's one of the interesting things because it's a bit of finesse that takes some time to learn about how to use the initiative system to its greatest advantage.
And I did that last night. I was playing a multiplayer game. Where's my friend I was playing against? He was ready. Oh, there you are. Yeah, that was fun because I did exactly that. You're like, what the hell did you just do? Because I had a spider, which is basically a walking coffin. And Safe Decker.
I like my spiders.
And so I ran up behind one of your, I think, heavy mechs, right? And ping, ping in the back, which is just great. And then the turn order goes again and just jump back out. Like, wait a minute, can you do that? Did I miss something? No, you missed prototype phase. That's
and I think one of the other things that was different between tabletop and the computer game is the way that we treated stability and called shots, right? Come on, don't be shy. Well, we didn't like you either. One thing we wanted to do is people are always like, I want to be able to just target any place on the mech, right? It's actually, the game kind of falls apart if you can do that at any time, because there are parts which have different amounts of armor, and if I just like, I'm just going to always shoot the head, well, you'll just take the guys out really quick, right? And so the fiction, of course, is that these are giant things moving at high speeds, and so you really don't have the ability to expertly target any one section of the body, except unless you can stop it moving, right? And so the two ways you can stop a mech from moving, one is overheating, right? And the second is by knocking it over. And so in the tabletop game, we didn't really have that dynamic. City Tech had a little bit of a fall over, but it was more in connection to your speed. And so here we turned stability into a real game mechanic. And it allowed us to differentiate the weapons a lot more than we were able to do on the tabletop. On the tabletop, really, you just have how much damage they do and how much they spread that damage across the mech, right?
As I recall, it's over 20 points of damage, then you have a chance to fall. And what, right?
Right.
Okay, good, I remember the rules.
Well, here we were able to say that different types of weapons have different bouts of stability damage, right? So the autocannons and the missiles, and of course melee, can really impact stability, knock guys over. The energy weapons don't have any stability impact, right? Which also is a nice balance point for the fact that they don't require ammo, right? And their ammo can't explode. Which I don't know, anybody have any ammos explode on them? Yeah.
So that's, when I target a mech, I'm going for the ammo every single time. Forget the center torso. But that's just me. Pro tip.
How many, when you're playing the game, how many people take advantage of really trying to target in specific areas? Right. And do you go out and search for different components or trying to save different components?
I'm trying to knock off their heaviest gun as soon as possible so that I can take them when I want. Right?
Yeah.
Just for the legs up or something.
Yep. Yeah. Often, yeah. It's like legging a mech is easier than trying to core it out in center torso. Absolutely, and you get more components left at the end as well. But that was always kind of an interesting part of Battletech, was that's where flanking became important, not just for offensive, but flanking becomes part of your economics, right? Because if you're trying to you're playing the long game, then the salvage becomes really important because that stuff's expensive, and if you can get good components, that's a big deal. So for us, that was one of the goals of the kind of broadening the game out, because your traditional tabletop game was, okay, here's my guys, here's your guys, and we'll march, and then bang, 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 and one side falls down, right? How could we spread that out? How could we make that so that the maneuvering was so much more important, the flanking was so much more important? And the answer was there in the tabletop, but rarely played, which is the economics, right? This stuff is rare and it's expensive. And so if every time you take a hit, it's going to cost you money to fix it. Every time your pilot takes a wound, they're going to be out of service for a while. You, by nature, start playing much more carefully, right? You really start to use the environment in a way to reduce the amount of damage you take, and you start thinking about how you're applying damage to the enemy, because just killing him isn't the long-term financial interest. It's killing him in a way that leaves the parts I want.
And what we found also, we put out a beta for our Kickstarter backers, and it was just skirmish, right? And so you're going in there and you're pounding your death from above, like, woohoo, boom. And it's like, that's not the way it's going to be in the campaign, guys. Appreciate these mechanics for now, it's freewheeling, but all of a sudden, when you start paying for every point of armor or internal structure, you're going to feel every hit, for sure. When that mech falls down and you hear, I took a wound, yeah. Then you want to upgrade your med bay real fast.
All right, so it looks like we got like 10 minutes left. So we're going to, son, well, good man. We're going to let people ask questions. If you can answer them as well, that would be great. But if not, we'll answer them. Okay. Who's got a question? Yeah.
There we go. Talk into the black.
Hello?
Oh, I don't think you have to quite go that far.
Alright, True Advance, that one's for you. So how did the system of the quad mechs affect you when developing Battletech from a
Oh, the system of the quad mechs is the question. And my response to that is Victoria 3. Next. Toss it back. You got there. Toss it to me because I want to beat somebody with this. Who wants it?
Oh!
I was just curious how. Closer. Closer.
I can hear you. Keep going.
He broke it. It's his fault.
I was just curious. One of the big parts of the board game, and ultimately, kind of the extended universe, I guess, is of course the fiction. How do you guys consider like the timeline as far as when you're considering future advancements in the game. How far is too far for this Battletech game?
How far is too far?
Cough.
I'm sorry, did you say clans? I'm sorry.
No, just clearing my throat.
Oh, because they're filthy, cheating clanners, and we don't want to talk about them right now.
Yeah, that's actually a recent statement from from Trump.
Yeah, but we just want to tell you real fast, there was never a choice for us besides 3025 to start the game. And Jordan will tell you why now. Bye.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we wanted to have the ability in success to move our way through the timeline over the upcoming years, and hopefully we have the opportunity to do that. The other thing we thought was really good about 3025 is it's a little bit simpler of an introduction to new players, right? Because it's like any soap opera, right? It gets more and more twisted over time, and if we can start at the beginning, it's a little bit more accessible in terms of the players. And then we chose to make it even one step easier, which was rather than start in the giant inner sphere, move to the periphery where we can deal with kind of smaller governmental structures, and you can be playing a bigger role in the politics of those small kind of banana republics and bandit kings that take place in the periphery, which is what the goal is. So I think in success we'll move more into the houses and then start moving through the timeline. But we got to see where the game takes us.
And generally, the game is very extensible mechanically. It's all very, very systemic, and so we feel like we can pretty easily build on it. It was created with that in mind.
Go ahead and throw it back. Who's got it?
They took it from.
Oh, somebody's got it. Okay.
It's on repair.
They took it. It's on repair. So what's your question?
I was thinking more about the actual fluff or storyline that we have. You created a new dominion that you could play in, that you would be saving. Will this somehow survive and actually be relevant in the future of the game, or will it disappear just because it wasn't there to begin with?
I don't think it's for us to announce.
Correct, but I don't think so either. But
that was kind of a dick move, wasn't it?
Let's just say that Randall and Lauren at Catalyst, I raised them since they were pups, and they'll do whatever the hell we say.
Wow. By the way, this is being recorded. Hi guys. You're doing great work.
Yeah, keep it up. Can't wait to see the new games. Next question. No, yeah, no, here we go. Yeah.
Okay. Real fast for latecomers, before you arrived, everybody stood up and said a little bit about themselves.
Okay, this works. Yes. Okay, I have a bit of a critical question, so I'll preface it with I really like a lot of what you're doing in the game, especially coming not from Battletech, so I have no idea. Really.
That's awesome.
I like the evasion system, capturing the speed in a turn-based system. That's really good. Speaking about speed, though, you talked about speeding up the combat, and I wonder how it happens that the game comes out like this. And I see when you did your first presentations, your first skirmishes, and you see the missiles hit, and then it feels like half an hour later it says, okay, knock down, and then the mech falls down. Let's preview, it's fine. It's in this final game. So is that something you
So
decided?
the question really is, how did the game come out at this pacing, and why did we decide on this pacing? Okay, well that's pretty easy. That's really how Battletech has felt for 35 years, right? And so goal number one for us is to create a very authentic Battletech experience. And this is something I just want to stop for a moment on this, because many of us, we may be nerds in this room, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. And maybe we go to movies, and some movies feel very authentic to their source material, and some really feel like somebody crapped on our favorite, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying, right? And so for us, one of the things that our company, Harebrained Schemes, is founded on is the idea of respecting our audience and respecting the source material that they love. So that's the main reason why the pacing was the way it was, because we did not want to create an experience that didn't feel real.
And one of the things with BattleMechs is they're huge and they weigh a lot, right? And that's actually a very difficult thing to convey in animation and graphics. Because if something's moving really, really fast, by nature it feels very small, right? And also if your camera angle is always very high, then they feel like toys again, right? So one of the things we were very excited about was being able to bring the cameras lower so you can really see how big they are and then feel their movement. But that also creates that kind of slower pacing. So one of the things in reaction to players, because that's what we want to do is be reactive to players, is the first update, as Mike announced on stage, is going to have a couple different speed up modes. One, you can just kind of click it and it's going to do everything kind of at high speed. The other, which I think for me is going to be the way I would play it, is a spacebar will allow you to just, any animation that's playing that you want to speed up, you just hit the spacebar, that one will speed up. But you can do that selectively and see what cool stuff you want and speed up the other stuff when you don't want to.
But one more direct answer to your question, which is, well, how come you shipped it this way and now everybody's like, hey, go faster? And the reason,
not everybody.
yeah, not everybody, but you get that feedback. And that's because it's sort of a self-selecting thing, right? We put out a beta, and the people that were in the beta were all Battletech fans. So it looked right. And we go, and they're telling us, it looks right. We're like, okay, great. And then later on, we started doing friends and family, right? And they're like, this is really cool. Like, all right, we got it. Then when you open it up to a much broader audience, like you in particular, right? I mean, right, you're like, or we could put a little speed up mode in here. And that's how it works. And, you know, game production is not a science, it's alchemy. It really is alchemy. And you put all these ingredients together and you put together the right team and the right mechanics and everything and hopefully the right schedule and maybe the right amount of money to make it. And then you go to RNGesus and you find out, yeah, that's a hit. You know, and that's what happened.
All right, we got time for one last question. And you already did the quad mech, you can't do it again.
Okay. Let's do something similar then. So, which of the characters within the campaign would the two of you ship?
Oh. There's no shipping in Battletech. So I have my answer. See me
Yeah,
in the class.
go for it.
Yeah. I can't say.
You're on the spot.
Okay. Yeah, well, for a lot of people, it's Command Alexander, right? Because they're lifelong friends and stuff. And there were several people on the team who were like, so are they gonna get together?
Yeah, see, I would have gone Yang and the Doctor.
Oh, Dr. Farrow.
Yeah. Come on, enormous respect for their technical
You know what?
capabilities.
You're right. Well, I was just reacting to other people, but you know, in success, all things are possible.
So, Clanner dating sim?
Clanner dating sim is on our roadmap.
All right.
Right?
That's going to be the first sequel. All right, there we go. All right, well, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. And hope you're on the team.
Cheers.